Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you the Imperial Knights Grotmist Detachment, the Questor Forgepact. This came out the same day as the Chaos Knights Detachment, as they tend to do. Now, this is on, of course, Warhammer Community. Go to the downloads. You will find it on this page. Boom, bam. Alright. I've looked over it. And I'm going to just say this, I guess here. Maybe I'll talk about it in like the weekly wrap up video too. But it's really helpful if you read the stuff, go somewhere like, take it in, and then go back and read it again. Because don't get me wrong, there are some of these detachments that are not great. They're not great. And on first read, it appears just awful. This detachment is one of those that many people are saying it is. And I'm not going to say that it's better than. It's definitely, in my opinion so far, not better than the index detachment. But I think the same way I've given Flyblown Host this, I don't want to say pass because I do think Flyblown Host is actually good and competitive too, is that certain metas will arise and you might find yourself going for this literally just to counter what's happening in the meta. So let's talk about what Questor Forgepact does. Cog bound, we're fucking it already. Cog bound alliance. The nobles of Questor Mechanicus houses commonly fight alongside the armies of Forge Worlds. They are bound together by their shared devotion of the machine cult. I don't even know what accents we explored there for that, but it happened. Imperial Knight units from your army have the following. Oh yeah, that's right. I thought I fucked that up, but when I read it a couple of times, I was like, Imperial Knight units from your army have the following the ability. All right, primed and ready. Let's go. Sacrosanct Pledge. In your command phase, one model in this unit regains one lost wound. If this unit is within 3 inches of one or more friendly Tech Priest models, one model in this unit regains up to D3 lost wounds instead. Adeptus Mechanicus units from your army have the following ability. Divine Inspiration. Each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. If this unit is within 6 inches of one or more friendly Imperial Knights units, reroll a wound roll of 1 as well. Forge World allies. You can include the following Adeptus Mechanicus units from your army. Tech Priest Dominus, Manipulus, Scutari Marshal, Scutari Rangers, Scutari Vanguard. Cap out at 500 points. No Adeptus Mechanicus models from your army can be your Warlord. Alright, before we get further into that, like it's not even close really. Noble Lance just gives you straight up a feel no pain of a 6 up, and if you become honored, it's a 5 up feel no pain. Um, for detachment rule to detachment rule, it is just kind of better. Now, I will say this though. Um, one talking about the leaks, the possible leaks and changes that if knights go down to T11 and they gain more wounds because of it, it will be probably more frustrating to have regaining wounds versus a feel no pain. Why is that? Basically, if I take my, let's go with Zoe's, okay? My Zoe's are wounding on, instead of now from T12, and again, this is all speculative and data slate stuff, so just stick with me for a second, okay? If my Zoe's go from wounding a knight on 4s to 3s because of their overall change, they have 6 last cannon shots, d6 plus 1 to do the damage, right? So that's 6 shots into which you are rolling feel no pains for. You still have to make those feel no pains of 6 up, maybe 5 up. Each one failed is damage going through. That can't be mitigated, right? Well, okay, if you fail the mitigation, it doesn't have a second chance to be mitigated. However, when I'm rolling some damage such as d6 plus 1 or my Tyran effects that is d6 plus 6, I am now required once again to roll higher on my damage roll to get more damage through, even though I was wounding both on 3 anyway. Like the wound roll already happens, it is now asking me to put more damage into it to topple it over. Because if I roll, let's just say I roll a 1 on my damage, right? I roll a 1 and it's a d6 plus 1 or d6 plus 3? D6 plus 1, right? Either way, if I roll 1, that means that there's 2 and feel no pain goes through. If if there's the situation into which I have put my 2 through, 2 off of 26 versus 2 off of 22 is a sizable difference. So then when you have enhancements like the ones coming up, or one coming up, I should say, uh, that can be in its own respect a just beast to handle, and then add the fact that they are regenning. Goodness, I don't really want to talk about it. So that's just the at the time of hearing rumors, maybe this has a world where it becomes the most viable for a specific meta. Do I find that this is overall better? Not the case. But there's that. Also, I'm going to. There's a couple of tabs up here, but I will save you some time if you don't really want to go through all of it with me. Into which, if you are re rolling hit rolls of 1 and re rolling wound rolls, and you have what AdMech are notorious for at the moment, a bunch of tiny people. If you give them something like lethal hits from a Manipulus, or from actually killing an Armiger and using a later ability we'll get to, there's room for them to do more damage than people are prepared to take, because your tiny people are outputting damage while you have a knight in the back firing down as well. And then they have other things that are helping you achieve the secondary game. So there's that. And because I didn't mention it in the Chaos Knights video, I should also say I understand Grotmist detachments are leaving a lot of us feeling sour about what the new detachment is. Like, some of them do feel kind of money grabby, some of them do feel like they don't understand the army. And on the don't understand the army part, I have my own feelings on that. But beyond that, if you have a codex coming up, be happy, or try to be happy. I'm not going to tell you how to feel, right? Try to take some solace in the fact that it is not wasted paper in your codex. You don't have to play this if you don't want to. This is just another option if you are somebody that owns Imperial Knights and AdMech and want to play something different instead of fucking Noble Lance. Noble Lance right now. So there's that. But going on to the enhancements. Omniscient Champion. Is it Omniscient or Omnis? No, it's Omniscient, right? 30 points. Imperial Knights model only. Add 4 to the bear's wound characteristics. 30 points is steep for that. Don't know why the hell that's costed like that. But I guess any other argument, like if you made that 15, I think I'd start bitching. Um, Maybe 20. Like, that is just, that is such a weird point for what it does that I don't think anything would make me happy. So 30 seems too extreme, and if you made it something like 15, I'd be like, excuse me, you're giving knights more wounds for 15 points and they regen? Excuse me? But if you made it like 20 or 25, I still think I'd be on the like, this is too much for what the fuck it does. So I don't know, maybe they hit us with the first like 17.5 or some shit. I don't know. Knight of the Opus Machina. Um, is it Machina or is it Machina? I guess it could be Machina. 20 points. Imperial Knights model only. Each time the bearer makes a ranged attack, if the bearer is within 6 inches of one or more friendly AdMech units, reroll a hit roll of 1. This is nice. For 20 points, it's nice. Magos Questoris, 35 points. Tech Priest model only. While the bear is within 3 inches of one or more friendly Imperial Knights units, it has the Lone Op ability. In your command phase, select one friendly Imperial Knights model within 3 inches of the bearer. That model regains up to 2 lost wounds. It's weird that they said, hey, no engine seer, and then made an enhancement for you to become an engine seer. Don't know why that was the design here. I'm really trying to wrap my head around it. Like, I guess they don't want you to give the what a feel no pain, right? Um, but I guess a feel no, because you would have to target. You target. Is it a friendly vehicle or an admech vehicle? I guess because it doesn't work that they didn't. I don't know. It's just kind of weird that they didn't do a different way of going about this. But for 35 points, giving an Imperial Knights model 3 inches next to you, 2 more wounds is I don't know how much how worth that is. I'm gonna be honest, don't know how worth that is. I think you should probably drop this one down, but we'll see how everything plays out in the upcoming balanced data slate. Vocifer Magnificat Aura. 15 points. Imperial Knights model only. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of the bearer, worsen the leadership characteristic of those models by 1. While an admech is next to you, increase the leadership of yours by 1. Don't know why this is here instead of the Chaos Knights one. Really can't figure that one out. Um, Even if this was OC, it would make more sense. I'm truly racking my brain why the hell they did that here. But they did, and with that being my sentiment, I think you can see that I don't think you bring that ever. I don't know. Somebody will have something funky for it, maybe. I don't know. Omnissiah's Grace. Any phase just after a mortal wound is allocated to an Imperial Knights or Adeptus Mechanicus model. Sorry, Adeptus Mechanicus unit in your army. Target that Imperial Knights or AdMech unit. You have a 5 up feel no pain against mortals until the end of the phase. 1 CP, I understand the fact that they couldn't make it a feel no pain and versus mortals, right? Like the basic feel no pain and a 5 versus mortals, because the is it manipulus or dominus? I always confuse the two when it comes to some of the abilities, right? Um, Already gives feel no pain, so you can't necessarily slap that on top of the admech 2. This is like a double whammy of, hey, they already have a feel no pain, but if they tried to get mortaled out, there's a 5 up feel no pain. So like, I guess it'd be better if this was until the end of the battle, maybe, but it's kind of weird. Machine Focus, your command phase. One Imperial Knights unit from your army. Until the start of your next turn, your unit can ignore any or all modifiers to the following: the weapon skill or ballistic skill characteristics of weapons equipped by its models, any hit roll or wound roll made for it. Ignore mods during your command phase. Cool. Weird timing that they say your command phase. Like, they don't give you a chance to figure out if you can advance and assault into the position to figure that out. You just kind of just have to hope that you make the distance. But yeah, ignore mods is ignore mods, and we're getting a lot of ignore mod love recently. Hate, love, it depends how you feel about it. Vengeance of the Machine Cult. Any phase, one Imperial Knights unit from your army that was just destroyed. Until the end of the battle, the enemy unit that destroyed your unit is marked. Each time an ad mech model from your army makes an attack that targets a marked unit, that attack has the lethal hits ability. So this is what I was referring to earlier. They already have access to lethal hits quite a bit, and they are disposable. So if they are firing down long with their plethora of guns after something took out your knight, is it likely that they're going to be ones to kill it? No, probably not. But it is better than having to dedicate the rest of your army to do so. So, for 1 CP, I don't hate it. I think I'm more favorable now because of how much rerolls are important here than I was when this was given to the Chaos Knights detachment. Just because this is like a, well, if you could do it at range, you can figure it out, and then by the time some combat needs to happen, you're good. So it's it's not the worst backup plan possible. Aggression begets aggression. Your shooting phase, one Imperial Knights unit from your army, or one Imperial Knights character unit from your army, and one friendly ad mech unit that is within 6 inches of that unit. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have the assault ability. Um, right now, it's up in the air if to you still get your Doctrine Imperatives for your ad mech units. So this would be kind of weird, into which you spend a CP to give a unit that could have assault. But on that same notion, you could increase their um, ballistic skill and give them heavy. All right, that's the one. Give them heavy after hitting assault too. So we'll see on that front. Bonded Imperative. Your command phase just before an Imperial Knights character unit from your army uses a Bondsman ability. That Imperial Knights character unit, when selecting targets for that use of that a Bondsman ability, you can select one friendly add mech unit within a foot of your unit in addition, or instead of selecting one armature model. Until the start of your next command phase, every model in that add mech unit is affected by that Bondsman ability. You can't use the Knight Preceptor for this stratagem. Um, it is a nice attempt. I think, given the models that you can use from AdMech here, like it'd be different if they said Skatari. You could take Skatari, but specifically is like Skatari Vanguard, Skatari Rangers, Marshall, Dominus, Manipulus, right? Um, some of the bondsmen might be a little bit nicer for it, but at the same time, there are a few where I think you could do something cheeky. And I don't know, I think cheeky. I don't know how much cheeky wins games, right? It might catch your opponent off, not in the like gotcha sense, but in the, well, I guess they do punch that a little bit harder. One or two times in a game, probably once in a game, like you just remind them, like, hey, you could do this after telling them at the start of the game, and then they go, oh, okay, I'll just never do that again. I don't know. We'll have to see. Bondsman is weird, but it's the fact that you can still select an armature that is probably the biggest part. So if you target an armature and an admech unit, I think there's more around that for some of them. But we'll come back to that. Throne Geist Fury. Your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit is set up or ends a normal backslash advance or fall back move. One Imperial Knights Titanic unit from your army that is within 24 inches of and visible to that enemy unit. Select one ranged weapon equipped by a model in your unit. That model can shoot at that enemy unit, and only if it is an eligible target. When doing so, that model can only make attacks with that weapon, and each time it makes a ranged attack, an unmodified hit roll of 6 is required to score a hit, irrespective of the attacking weapon's ballistic skill or any modifiers. Um, so you get a second chance at overwatching something, basically, and I need somebody to break it down to me on this one, where this one becomes broken, because on the ones that we've seen where it's like, oh, you can do a second heroic intervention, we found, oh no, that's like way different. So I think there's got to be something here further that I just have yet to know about as to why this might be a pop off moment. But overall, this is all fine. It's all fine. Assault, fine. Especially for Imperial Knights, yeah, it's fine. Um, lethal hits for your little peeps while you have gone down, better something than nothing. 5 up feeling no pain against mortals, better something than nothing. Ignore mods, cool. Um, this one is the one that probably has to be played around with more, and it's odd that they didn't make this the like detachment ability. Like I just would have assumed that you would just immediately slap this as the detachment rule. That when you target an armature, you can also target add mech around it, and then maybe make this the reroll situation. Because how often do you need the rerolls? We'll see depending on how often lethals or some of these other tabs might give you some of those options. But yeah, overall, fine is fine. It's not just straight up bad. It's just fine. So you still have to keep in mind you still get your army rule of possibly becoming honored, and you can go through walls with the Titanic ones. Uh, eh, eh, right. So going over, let's talk about some of the big knights and some of the units that you might want to consider. The Knight Crusader is one of them. Crusader's duty, bondsman ability, sorry. While a model is affected by this ability, each time that model makes a ranged attack, add one to the hit roll. So maybe you target an armature, and you target some Skitarii as well to +1 to hit, right? In your movement phase, if this model remains stationary until the start of your next movement phase, this model's ranged weapons have the sustained hits 1 ability. Fine is fine. If it's stationary, it is doing the Titanic pew pew shoot down thing, Titanic towering, a lot of guns. Somebody tries to hit it, they probably can get some wounds through. It has a 5 up invulnerable save versus raised attacks. You are staying there for sustained, and then you are healing with somebody lone op next to you. Something like that, right? Maybe get some reroll hits with Knight of the Opus Machina, 20 points. Who knows? Maybe you really want to double down on, well, I'm going to shoot you before you can lift me up with Magos Questoris. I don't know. But that's the first one of where we're going with what they might have been going for. Then we got the Knight Errant. Errant's duty, bondsman ability. While a model is affected by this ability, you can reroll advance rolls made for that model, and its ranged weapons have the assault ability. Each time this model makes a ranged attack against the closest eligible target, add one to the hit roll. So maybe you target an armature, give that assault, and you give add mech assault instead of popping the 1 CP for you to get the assault. Or maybe now you have 3 units assaulting across the board. One of them going through walls, one of them not, one of them possibly going through walls again because they are infantry. So maybe you do that. Then you go to the Knight Paladin. Paladin's duty, bondsman ability. While a model is affected by this ability, its weapons have the lethal hits and lance abilities. So this is another one where it's like, yeah, it's nice if the armature has it. Could also be nice again if the little Skitarii have it, where it's like all of a sudden they are hitting with lance, and I wasn't ready for that. And if they have lethal hits, a lot of them have ignores covers weapons, or the option to give the unit ignores cover with the thingamabobber. I'm blanking right now. But yeah, there's that. You also have Seasoned Noble. Once per phase, you can reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, or one saving roll. So one saving throw roll made for this model. Again, good guns are good. Knight Paladin, okay, 405. Possibly get some lethal hits and lance on to your armature and or Skitarii. Knight Warden. Warden's duty, bondsman. While the model is affected by this ability, each time an attack is allocated to that model, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. Don't know if you're spending 1 CP to double this one, but maybe in a pinch, really, I guess not a pinch, maybe you got a little too froggy and you realize you still need that add back unit. Maybe you do it. Thin their ranks. Each time this model makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, that attack has the devastating wounds ability. Nice is nice. Then we go over to the armatures. Probably. Still want to bring Warglaives? Each time this model makes a charge move until the end of the turn, melee weapons equipped by this model have the sustained hits 1 ability. This is where it's like, alright, you probably put sustained, lethals, lance, and double that. Probably pick up quite a few things with a paladin, warglaive, and a bunch of Skitarii. While they are, you know, vibing, I guess. They're here. They're alright. 150 points. Then we got the Moirax, Armiger Moirax. You can target this unit with the Heroic Intervention stratagem for 0 CP, and you can do so even if you already targeted a different unit with this stratagem this phase. This one is interesting, into which there's quite some interesting weapons over here. You also have conversion on the conversion beam cannon. Each time an attack made with this weapon scores Each time an attack made with this weapon targets a unit more than 12 inches from the bearer, an unmodified successful hit roll of 4 up scores a critical hit. Goodness. Um, this could be another one into which maybe you double up on the lethal hits aspect of it. If you got a Moirax to spare, you know, if you have it, go for it. Could be nice. Going over to the Skitarii you can bring, I just decided let's go through all. Okay, not all of them. I did take one out as a hell no, but real quick, the Dominus gives the models in it a 5 up Feel No Pain. You won't be able to take Electro Priest here, so no 4 up Feel No Pain. And at the start of fight phase, you can select one enemy vehicle unit within engagement range of this model's unit and roll 1d6. On a 4 up, that enemy unit suffers d6 mortal wounds. And until the end of the phase, the weapon skill characteristic of melee weapons equipped by that enemy unit is worsened by 1. Probably just looking at it for the 5 up Feel No Pain, of course. Um, yeah, that's really all we're going on this one. Depends on how much of an annoyance you want to be with the Skitarii you can bring. Then we go to the Manipulus. While this model is leading a unit, weapons equipped by models in that unit have the lethal hits ability. Once per battle, at the start of any phase, this model can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, all models in this model's unit have a 4 up invulnerable save. So they already have invulnerable saves, but now you are, once per battle, a 4 up invulnerable save and giving them lethal hits. They're getting rerolls to hit and to wound, and they are healing your big knights or your bigger models because it applies to both knights. It is probably the option if I were to assume the way this is playing out so far. This is probably the option as to what you want to do. So going over to the littler ones, Skitarii Rangers. I guess they're technically not littler. They're just the ones that can be led. They are a battle line, 85 points for 10 models. This starts to solve the issue of Imperial Knights not having great options of having bodies on the board, right? You still have access to Imperial agents, and we will talk about that in a second. But for right now, you have Skitarii Rangers that can scout 6. Um, what do you want to give up? Because last I checked, all of the leaders don't have scouts. So if you want to take them as leaderless and just scout 6 up at the end of your command phase, if this unit is within range of an objective marker you control, that objective marker remains under your control. Sticky objectives, right? Enhanced data tether. If you target this unit with a stratagem, roll 1d6 on a 5 up, you gain 1 CP. Ranged weapons equipped by models in the bear's unit have the ignores cover if you bring the Omni specs, okay? So you can do ignores cover, lethal hits, reroll ones, reroll wounds of ones too, for hits and wounds, reroll ones. For decent enough ranges on the loadout, a foot definitely needs to leave some to be desired. You got an arc rifle doing 30. Probably don't want the lethal because they have dev wounds on these two. But galvanic rifle, plasma, caliver, and the transuranic arquebus. There we go. 30 inches, 36 inches. Depends. It depends on the pinch that you're in, but more than anything, you are getting rerolls to this unit. And I will talk about how you could have been getting rerolls anyway, but that's why I think you don't bring it. You also have Skitarii Vanguard, into which while an enemy unit excluding vehicle units is within 3 inches of this unit, subtract 1 from the objective control characteristic of models in that unit. This can probably be the more annoying option because if you are taking armigers and filling the board with them as well as Skitarii Vanguard, you now have your opponent up Shit's Creek as trying to figure out how they're going to out OC you between Vanguard taking away their own OC and you having, let's go, 8 OC per armiger on the point. I I think that's the one where you go, maybe. I think personally I am leaning towards probably the Rangers because Scouts is big and Sticky is big. But if you want to actually make a unit out of it, like throw on the Manipulus, probably Vanguard, so you have, a little bit of shooting as well as just being an asshole. Then we go over to the Imperial agents, into which I think maybe you bring Greyfax. Considering the meta sometimes, this could be interesting, but Authority of the Inquisition, while this model is leading a unit, it can embark within any transport that its bodyguard unit can embark within. Syoculum, while this model is leading a unit, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have the anti-psyker 4 up. So this could be nice for one skew unit because you can attach to the Skitarii that you're bringing. Maybe you don't pop the lethals on this one, right? Maybe you just go ahead and give anti-psyker 4 up to the entire unit, reroll once to hit, reroll once to wound on a unit that contains a psyker, right? You also have No Mercy. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack that targets a unit that is below half strength, plus 1 to the hit roll. 65 points. It's an option. I think if there was a time to bring Greyfax, it's probably now ish, maybe. Then you have the other idea I was going with, that if you just decide to be a jackass, right? You take some rhinos, and at the end of your command phase, this model regains 1 lost wump. So since you can ally in rhinos through agents, you have rhinos holding some number of agents of Imperium infantry. Really, because all of them are very you can take your pick on which of them that obviously aren't Terminator or Officio Assassinora models. Put them on a rhino and put them up. And then you have the Admech follow up. Let them sticky, let them lethal some shit. Uh, Let them take away the OC. The Rhino is just a fucking roadblock. A regenerating roadblock. Because it's 75 points. Who gives a shit if it dies? And then, while you have this roadblock in the way, you have knights that are regenerating in the back. Or possibly in the front. Fuck it. Wherever you want your knight backslash armiger regenerating, it can fucking do it. While everything else is fighting the war for you with roadblock Imperial Rhinos and lethal backslash anti-psyker firing fucking Skitarii. I don't think it's the greatest game plan, but I think it can be fucking frustrating, and we'll have to see how much frustrating outweighs a good game plan. Because if your opponent decides to just show you how upset they are, I don't know. So maybe don't do it too much. Do it to your friend one time, and that's it. But we'll see. That's just the idea that I was like, well, if everything's regenerating, fuck it, maybe. And you got Sisters of Battle as a squad. They also have Sticky. Once per battle, you can target this unit with the command reroll strat for 0 CP, even if you've already done it, to a different target this phase. Why am I talking about sisters? Of course, more sticky. We need more sticky. As well as the fact that you want sisters because you want an immolator. Each time this model has shot, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks until the end of the phase. That enemy unit cannot have the benefit of cover. Bring an immolator. We found out that immolators are good. Who knew it? Immolators, you got sisters, stickying. Uh, you got Scutari Vanguard reducing the objective control. You got Ranger stickying. While you have knights walking around healing wherever the fuck they want to go, while throwing armatures that have shit like lethal hits, sustained, lance, assaulting, feel no painting. Did I miss anything? And you're ignoring Mach. Fuck it. Yeah, let's throw that one in too. So it's it leaves some to be desired from what I can understand. I am not an Imperial Knights player, but I have definitely seen a lot of Imperial Knights player opinions so far. And I can sympathize with it. Like, don't get me wrong, I definitely find it odd. But at the same time, I think I just want to once again say that remember that, yeah, this isn't what you wanted to play your army, right? I get that it's not another way to necessarily play Imperial Knights, i.e., buying the AdMech Codex and then possibly the Imperial Agents Codex, so then you can play your Imperial Knights Codex. Got that. On the flip side, though, that means that this isn't something that they dedicated time to put into the Codex. So you don't have to pay $60 to get this in your Codex. At least it's out the way, right? Kind of the same way I was trying to, I don't know, put some bail for the Hexwarp Thrall band, into which you might want to hope that that is the Zangor detachment, just with a different twist, I guess, kind of. But yeah, if you like the video, like it, got a comment for me, comment, and until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.